Hello. Here's a question. Could someone or someone's survive inside of a Costco during a zombie apocalypse? I've never been inside of a Costco, so I'll take a guess. Probably a short answer, probably yes, but it would also depend on the geographical location of the Costco, whether it's say in the south, the north, or somewhere in between where winters are mild or no winters, heat, rain, weather, tornado alley, hurricanes. But like I said, the short answer would be yes. Yes, you'd probably very limited access to the store, few entry points and exit points. Yes, you'd probably have, I think there's still gates there, or some type of reinforcing doors that conceal the building, which is a plus. Then you got an abundance of food, canned food, dehydrated food. I'm not going to go into all the different types of, I'm going to go on foods in general. Frozen foods, fresh foods, vegetables, fruits, vegetables, fresh meats, frozen meats. A lot of candy, nutritional supplements, a pharmacy, toilet paper, paper towels, bottled water, tires, probably appliances. But what would probably determine your survival the most is whether you have electricity or running water. If you got both of those, you're in good shape. You're going to be, if that goes on for years, it just best case scenario, you got power and it's just going on for several years or whatever, you're in good shape. But even if the power does go out, most likely the store has got a backup generator, most likely powered by natural gas, and that's probably just going to be running the freezers and the refrigeration units, probably minimal lighting at best. And even then, you're still going to have power, you're still going to be set for years. So and you get most Costco's have got a flat roof, and if you don't have running water, the toilet doesn't work, you could always take yourself up to the roof, hang your ass off the roof, and shit and piss off the side of the building. But the smell is probably going to attract zombies. But even though if they say the building does got some type of security doors or something, you should reinforce those from the inside, because and you're definitely going to have access to probably a manual pallet jack, a hand truck, or even a tow motor. So most of the goods and stuff and heavy stuff is even on skids. You can take some of those skids and barricade the doors and entry and exit points. So you'd be set there. And if you're in there by yourself, be living the dream. But it's best to have at least one other person in there with you. What's that saying? One is none, two is one. 3 people is better. I say 5 tops. But yes, and the short answer, yes, you can survive inside of a Costco. I mean, you probably got enough more food and provisions in there, disinfectant, toilet paper, paper towels, even if you're in there by yourself. I mean, enough for a lifetime. But just make sure when you're opening the cans and stuff, always do the sniff test. Check the can to see if it's soft or if it's got a lot of extreme pressure on it, because you don't want botulism or something like that. Because even though you have access to a pharmacy, you should just make sure you know what drugs they have in there, what you can or cannot take. But don't go really if you don't try to self-diagnose yourself if you don't know what you're doing. So I mean, it's a gamble on that. But like I said, if you're living in Tornado Alley, on the other hand, you might get screwed with a tornado. If you're living near the coast or something like Florida or something, you might get screwed with a hurricane. If you're living farther north, if you got electricity or even the backup generators going, you'll have some power in the store. But if you got full power, you can always heat and cool it. But even in the wintertime, that store's going to get cold if it's not heated properly, and you're going to end up with a lot of busted stuff, and you get screwed with the cold. So, like I said, it all depends on location, where that Costco is. And depending on what type of zombies we're talking about, Dawn of the Dead or Walking Dead, you'll be fine. But if you're something like what is it, 28 Days Later or Resident Evil, you're screwed. So, or Warm Bodies, now there's another one you're going to get screwed on. But independent, if outside survivors want in, well, you're still going to be really screwed. So it all depends on what the scenario is, what's going on in your location, and where you're located at, whether it's some feral survivors or whatever's wanting in. But like I said, the short answer: can you survive in a Costco during a zombie apocalypse? Yes, you can. But when you start factoring in the variables and the condition and situation where you're at, locations and stuff, all that's going to change. So I hope this helps.